Australia is aiming to boost its yearly permanent migration intake by 35,000 people. Many companies are struggling to find staff after a large number of temporary visa holders left during the COVID-19 pandemic. Restaurants, pubs and hotels are among those hardest hit. Roger Maynard reports from Sydney.
At last, they're beginning to head back. Migrants, students and working visa holders, as well as tourists, are returning to Australia in ever-rising numbers. But it could take some time for Australia's migrant increase to have any real impact. And the hospitality industry especially needs those foreign workers now.
We've got restaurants that are operating for 5 days out of the week instead of 7, and our overall recovery is 74% of what it could have been if we'd actually been able to staff all of our venues to the levels that we need to deliver the service experience.
It's a similar story in workplaces across Australia, where businesses of all kinds, from retail to IT, are crying out for staff. If nothing else, the past few years have demonstrated the extent to which Australia depends on a constant flow of migrants. The question now is, how long will it take to fill all those vacancies? Many migrants wait years to sort things out. Swapping an old life for a new one in a distant country can be formidable. Today, these migrants are swearing their allegiance to their new homeland at an Australian citizenship ceremony in Sydney's northern suburbs. It's a rite of passage that they will always remember. Maria Suevas and her family have migrated from the Philippines.
Finally, we're Australians, so yeah, we're very happy and excited.
Modern Australia, one of the world's most successful multicultural nations, is built on a history of migration. They came to settle here from Britain, Greece and Italy, and more recently, the Middle East and Asia, many of them first setting foot on Australian soil in Sydney, where the names of many of those new arrivals are etched on a so-called welcome wall.
It's a living memorial or in recognition of people who've arrived often on this dock or very close by, to be able to see themselves and reflect to everybody this rich diversity that makes up Australia today.
Pamela Proestas' parents migrated from Cyprus in the 1970s and are among the 32,000 names so far recorded here.
I think it was very scary for them. My mother was basically a teenager, had never experienced anything outside of Cyprus and her town, so it was scary, but then I think there was also that excitement and that, I guess, the opportunities that everybody came here for.
Philip Ruddock, who was Immigration Minister in the 1990s, is a strong supporter of Australia's migration policy. Despite continuing controversy over the government of the day's tough stance on illegal migrants and occasional outbreaks of racial disharmony.
If cultural diversity was a problem, we would have some of the most significant problems anywhere in the world. And I tell you, one of the things I can say with a great deal of certainty is, while it's not perfect, it works well. Yes, there are occasionally some comments from people who say Muslim go home or something like this, but we have demonstrated you can bring people together of different cultures, different races, different religions, and it can succeed.
Meanwhile, the recent shortage of foreign labour continues to cause problems in the workplace. So, can it be resolved quickly enough?
We need to look at every single solution we can to getting people to come to this country. We've got to start chartering flights, having subsidised seats on aircraft, having connections between visa holders and their future employers, so that an engagement can be worked up before they arrive on shore.
It won't be easy, as other countries faced with a similar problem tempt overseas workers with greater incentives. Australia may well have lifted its annual migration rate to 195,000, but will they come in time? Roger Maynard, CNA, Sydney.